So we're testing two sleep systems. First, we were testing the Revelation Quilt from Enlightened equipment. It is a 0 degree, long, wide. I'm 6'1", I weigh 180 pounds. I did get the wide version because I wanted to make sure that I could seal out all the drafts and get that thing really tucked up underneath me, which I have been able to do. The second piece of gear testing is the Big Agnes Orno UL mummy sleeping bag, which is a new thing for me. I haven't slept in a mummy bag in several years, quite a few years. And the reason that I went with another mummy bag is I was looking for something for much colder temperatures, something that's going to be a winter bag for me, and hopefully get me down actually in the single digits, maybe even close to 0. And I personally did not feel comfortable taking a quilt, especially a quilt that may not have a rating that I'm going to feel comfortable going to 0 in. So I decided to try going back to a full mummy bag and see if that would help. Now, I have spent a couple of nights in the teens in the Revelation. In particular, one night I spent on the AT in a shelter. I was on a Z-Lite closed cell foam pad. The temperatures were, I think they bottomed out somewhere around 15 degrees. There was a lot of wind, a lot of spindrift, snow blowing into the shelter. But luckily the shelter was situated so that we were actually sheltered from the wind. It wasn't blowing directly into the shelter. And on that night, I did have to add a significant amount of layers to stay warm. I did sleep warm, I was comfortable, but I was wearing warm tights, 2 pairs of socks. I had a Smartwool 250 zip up on top, as well as a hooded fleece jacket, and then also a down hoodie on top of that. Now, when I slept in the quilt, I didn't have it drawn up as tight as I possibly could around my neck to seal in all of that warm air, but pretty close, and a lot of additional layers. So that was one of the trips that kind of led me to believe that the rating of 0 on the Revelation was probably not quite accurate. So tonight we've got a cold front moving in. It's raining right now. Wind's picked up. Temperature's falling. So it's supposed to get down to the low 20s, possibly into the upper teens. I'm hoping it'll get into the teens so I can get a better test. What I'm going to do is I'm going to pitch my duplex in my backyard. I'm going to put both the Enlightened equipment quilt and the Big Agnes mummy bag in the tent. I'm going to start out in just base layers, socks, bottoms, top, and a warm hat, nothing else, in the Enlightened equipment, and see if I stay warm or if I in fact get cold. And I should stay warm, being that it's a 0 degree quilt. I'll make sure there's no drafts, any issues like that. Then at some point in the middle of the night, I will switch to the Big Agnes and we'll be able to compare the two. So that's the plan. We'll see how it goes. All right, I've got everything set up. I've got the Orno and the Revelation in the duplex. That's the Revelation 0 and the Big Agnes Orno UL 0. Both lofting up. And right now this is a little deceiving because the Revelation is actually on a pad and the Big Agnes is not. Wind's definitely picking up, so that'll be good. Okay, well, it is 2 o'clock in the morning. I woke up pretty cold in the Enlightened equipment Revelation. Not to say that I couldn't have stayed in the quilt, but I was uncomfortably chilly.
to the point where it was waking me up. But I went ahead and switched into the Big Agnes Orno, and immediately, as soon as I got into this thing, I started warming up. I can tell just from being in this thing almost a half hour now, it is definitely warmer. There's no question. It's much warmer. Yeah, and it's really comfortable. So I'm gonna talk more about this, once we get through the night. So. Well, I think it only got down to about 23, 22 degrees. So not as cold as I was hoping. But still got a good test, so I'm gonna make some coffee.
Now that I've spent a lot of nights below freezing and into the teens in the Revelation, and also this test in my backyard where I had 2 or 3 thermometers and I could really monitor the temperature, as well as being able to check the temperature on my smartphone on Weather Underground, I feel pretty confident in saying that the 0 degree rating is definitely a lower end, more like a survival rating. You're definitely going to freeze and be very uncomfortable in base layers at that 0 degrees. As far as the Big Agnes Orno UL goes, I would say that the rating is pretty accurate. I will be doing a full review on the Big Agnes Orno UL sleeping bag. Once I get that out, I will throw a link to it right here. I'd love to know what kind of gear you guys use in cold weather. Do you prefer a mummy style sleeping bag? Do you like to use a quilt? What type of pad do you use? Do you have any tips or tricks that other people might find helpful? If you could leave any and all that stuff in the comments below, that would be awesome. I'll be making quite a few videos in the future, hopefully putting one out every week. So if you could, subscribe to the channel, and we'll see you next time.